My parents had a Valiant. This is back in, I don't know, the late 60s. And I drove it, and then my next youngest brother, younger brother, he drove it as well. And anyway, I was going on a trip to go to Vancouver, and I'm driving. And I guess I had a guy with me that, I didn't really know that wanted to ride to Vancouver anyway. So I remember driving. Now I've gotten through the prairies, and now I'm in, and this is a long drive. So we stopped, I'm sure, somewhere. But the drive from Calgary, now through the mountains, and then coming out the other end through Hope, British Columbia, and then out into, the lower mainland, BC, and then into Vancouver. But to get from, at that time, basically Kelowna to Vancouver, there was, they got beautiful highways now they're going through, but at that time you were literally on a road, the highway. It was a two-lane, one lane each way, going down I think it's the Fraser River that you're really following it, but that's way, way down, and so I remember, and we decided we're going to keep driving. It was dark, and excuse me, about probably after midnight, probably been going right from Calgary right through, and doing this, these virtually really, really scary sort of turns on this, there's a mountain wall on one side, and on the other side is a valley that goes off into the river that's probably 1,000 feet below you. So, you've got no room on this side, and it's the main route between Calgary and Vancouver, so there's no other way. And so all the transport trucks and everything else, that's the way they go through. And so they're pretty much the only people on the road at that time at night, because it was, after midnight anyway. And so, anyway, I get a flat tire. Oh, okay, well, that's bad, but, I can fix a flat tire. So I pull over to the right-hand side, but now I'm right up against the guardrail, and on the opposite side of the guardrail is a cliff that goes down 1,000 feet into the river, and on this side of the road is the mountain, that goes up this way. And so there's a little bit of an indent on that side, but I wasn't going to cross over and park over there. But anyway, I go to the back. Now I've got to try to fix the car, and I look at, for the jack and everything else, and remember that I had brothers that also drove this car. And I guess, heading out on the road, I never thought about the spare tire. I just presumed there would be a spare tire there. I guess one of my brothers had the car and got a flat tire and decided not to fix it. He put the spare on, and what was left in the car was a flat tire. So now I've got two flat tires. So anyway, and the one that was, in the car, that wasn't repairable. So now I'm thinking, what the hell do I do? So I'm absolutely in the middle of nowhere, between Kelowna and Vancouver, in the middle of the night on this goofy winding road with basically just semi-trailers going by. Well, I decide I've got to take what I've got off of the car. I need the wheel at least, and take it somewhere where I can get it repaired at 12 o'clock in the morning or 1 o'clock in the morning. So I take I jack it up, get the tire off, and now I can't walk, there's trucks going by like crazy. So I decide I'm going to hitchhike, which back in those days everybody did, so that was fine. I've got my tire and I'm hitchhiking. I leave the guy that was with me in the car, because where is he going to go? Anyway, I am hitchhiking and nobody going by, but these semi-trailers. I'm holding this tire. All of a sudden, a guy with a double tanker. This is two big, long fluid tankers. I don't know what he had in there, fuel or whatever. Screams to a halt to pick me up, which was great. I get in. I've got my wheel with no tire because the tire was blown away, and he says there's a truck stop about 20 miles up the road, which they have a station there, like for fuel, but and probably nothing else. Anyway, I go there, and it's late, and so he pulls in, which was nice, got me there anyway, and it's not like a maintenance repair shop or anything like that. So I talked to the guy who's running the truck stop, and he says, well, there's a bunch of tires in the back in a pile. Now remember, this is pitch black in the middle of the night, and it's cold, it's winter. So, and he says, I know there's one in there that size, because I put it in there sometime a year ago or whatever. And I'm thinking, oh really? And the pile is like 15 feet high of tires, and it's covered in snow. And it's pitch black out. So now I've got to try to find this specific tire that's going to fit on this wheel. How it's going to go on the wheel is another story altogether, because there's no tire change things there. Anyway, so I scramble through this thing for an hour or so, and I literally, if you can believe it, find a tire. Well, now the worst part is the tire is frozen. Well, it's certainly not going to go on any wheel in that condition. So now I've got to take the tire in to they had a restaurant there, so I take it in and at least sit there for a little while, let it warm up. And I'm sort of thinking, well, how the hell am I going to get it put on to the wheel? And one of the truckers was there. He said, well, here's how you can do it. And he had a piece of rope and a tire iron. He said, what you do is you get the tire on the wheel. And one thing they did have was air pressure, which was good. The actual truck stop had a pressure tire filler, which was good. Nothing else. And he said, you've got to take the tire iron and get the tire on the wheel to begin with, which I did. So that's fine. And then he said, you've got to get air into it. But how are you going to get air into it, because it's not seated on the actual wheel itself? He says you take a rope and you tie it, around the tire, okay? I'm thinking, okay. And then you take your tire iron and you stick it through the rope, and you use, I don't know if you've ever done a tourniquet on somebody. In other words, you take a rag or a cloth and you wrap it around where you want to stop the blood from flowing, and then you tie it up as tight as you can, and then you put a screwdriver or something through it, and you twist that so it'll tighten that down. And that's what he was saying. So you take that, you've got the rope around the tire, and you put the tire iron through, and then you tighten that around as much as tight, so it's now holding that rope around that tire as tight as possible. And then you have some soap from I got the soap from the bathroom, because you need something to try to seal that. So on all around both rims, I've put this soap to try to at least help seal it. Now I've got, I'm doing this by myself, and it's like I'm using my arms and my legs, and I got the thing cranked up, and now I've got to get the air pressure onto that thing, and I did. And I've got this thing cranked down with the tourniquet on it to try to tighten that rope down, and I pushed the air to it. And I could not believe that it actually caught. In other words, boom, right away the thing started filling, and the seals were good. Holy mackerel, I couldn't believe it. Anyway, so the tire fills up, which was great, and I've got a fixed tire. And the guy said, you can keep the tire. It's like he was never going to use it anyway. And so, great, now I've got this tire. Now I just got to get back 20 miles, still middle of the night. One of the truckers going the other way, he's in the restaurant, says, yeah, I'll give you a ride out there. So I get out there, and now my car is there, but the guy that was with me, not there. I have no idea what's happened to him. I'm thinking, the last thing I got to get the tire on, which is great, which I did. And I'm thinking, now, what am I going to do? This guy that was with me that I've got to get to Vancouver, where is he? Anyway, I'm looking, and on the inside of the thing, like I said, there was a little bit of an indent, up against the cliffside, of the road. And there is a camper van. I'm thinking, there's nothing around for miles otherwise. He must have found his way to the camper van. Anyway, I go and I'm sort of knock on the window of the camper van. There he is with whoever's in there, and they're all smoking dope. And I'm thinking, wonderful. So anyway, so I've been doing this. This has taken 3 hours, by the way, to get me from there, back, and then back again. Got the wheel on, and now this guy who's just waiting, who I sort of knew from Winnipeg, but wasn't a really good friend. He just got the ride. Anyway, lumped him into the car. We got the thing on, away we went, and it worked. I mean, if you ever want to learn how to change a tire when you have nothing but an air pressure thing, that's how you do it. That was probably, I'm trying to think, 55 years ago, anyway, a long, long time ago. And I've survived all these years, and now I'm into Gut Fix. That's the one thing I take to stay alive. And check out Gut Fix, oral dose antibodies that actually affect your gut microbiome, will keep your microbiome in balance, and help you live healthy for a long time. Anyway, thanks for listening to my crazy story about changing a tire in the middle of nowhere and surviving. Talk to you later.